It's 6:47 p.m., your key hits the lock, and before the door even swings open, you hear it. The scramble of paws on hardwood, then silence. You step inside, drop your bag, and there they are, not jumping, not spinning. Your dog is frozen mid-motion, eyes locked on yours, and then they sink. Front legs slide forward, chest pressing toward the floor. Hind end lifted, tail low and loose, the whole body unfolds in your direction, like a slow exhale made of muscle and bone. You smile, maybe laugh, scratch behind their ears, say something like "good stretch, buddy," and move on to the kitchen. 30 seconds later, you've forgotten it happened, but your dog hasn't, because that was never a stretch, that was a sentence, and you've been misreading it for years. Most people see that posture and think their dog is just loosening up after a long nap on the couch. Stiff legs, quick release, done, and honestly, that version does exist. A dog waking up alone in an empty living room will shake it off. In 2 seconds flat, no eye contact, no pause, no audience required. They do it the way you crack your neck at your desk, forgettable. But the one that happens the moment you walk through that door is built from completely different raw material. It's slower, there is a deliberate beat where your dog finds your face first, holds it, and only then drops into the position. Front legs reaching, spine long, chest open and low, every limb pointed at you like an arrow. A Labrador unfolding toward the sound of a turning deadbolt. A shepherd who hasn't moved from the hallway mat in 20 minutes, waiting for exactly this moment to let their body go soft. That pause before the drop, that fraction of a second, where they choose you before they choose the posture, changes everything about what this movement actually means, and the fact that most owners walk right past it every single day is exactly why what comes next might unsettle you a little. Now drop everything you think you know about what love looks like, and get down to where your dog actually lives. About 12 inches off the ground, inside a nervous system that was never designed to feel affection the way you do, it was designed to survive. The moment your key touches that lock, your dog's auditory cortex isolates the frequency before the sound even finishes. Familiar metallic signature, mapped to a specific person. But here's what most people never consider. That recognition does not start with joy, it starts with the sympathetic nervous system running a threat assessment, heartbeat climbs, pupils adjust. The vomeronasal organ, a scent processing organ humans lost millions of years ago, begins pulling volatile molecules from the air seeping under the door. Your cortisol levels, your adrenaline residue, traces of where you have been and who you touched, all of it decoded in a single inhale. Faster than any lab on Earth could manage. Only after that entire scan resolves as safe does the body unlock. The parasympathetic nervous system kicks the brakes, vagus nerve fires, and muscle tension along the spine starts to release from front to back. That slow, dramatic stretch you see, chest dropping, forelegs sliding forward, is not a greeting, it's the visible signature of a nervous system downshifting from vigilance to baseline. The dog's proprioceptive system recalibrates every joint, confirming that the body can afford to be open, unguarded, structurally vulnerable. And here's where the biology gets uncomfortably precise. Oxytocin does flood the brain during this moment, yes, but not because your dog is feeling something sentimental. Oxytocin in canine neuroscience functions as a safety consolidation signal. It tags you, chemically, as a source of reduced allostatic load, meaning your presence literally lowers the cumulative stress cost on their organs over time. When researchers measured mutual gaze between dogs and owners and found oxytocin spiking in both, they were not documenting a hallmark moment. They were documenting co-regulation, two nervous systems using each other to stabilize. That feedback loop, your dog's eyes locking onto yours, triggering your own oxytocin, which shifts your body language, which their vomeronasal organ reads instantly, which deepens their parasympathetic drop and is a biological conversation happening entirely below conscious awareness on both sides. So that soft, glistening look in their eyes as they hold the stretch? A 2022 study confirmed it. Tear volume increases during owner reunions, not pain, not sadness. Autonomic overflow from a system that just completed its most critical calculation of the day. You are here, you are safe, the threat level is 0. And every muscle can finally let go. Your dog is not performing love. Their body is publishing a classified security report, and you happen to be standing in the doorway reading it completely wrong. And the specific way you have been misreading it connects to something most veterinary behaviorists wish owners understood far sooner. Here's where it gets uncomfortable. Because the biology does not care about the story you built around that stretch when your dog drops low at the front door, chest pressing toward the ground. What you are actually watching is the proprioceptive system recalibrating in real time. Proprioceptors are sensory receptors buried deep in your dog's muscles, tendons, and joints, and their entire job is to tell the brain where the body is in space. After hours of stillness on a cold floor waiting for you, those receptors have been feeding the central nervous system a monotone signal. The stretch is the system flushing itself, resetting spatial awareness from the legs up through the spine. It's mechanical. Now layer the endocrine picture on top. A dog who has been alone for 8, 9, 10 hours is not sitting in neutral. The hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis, the HPA axis, has been quietly dripping cortisol into the bloodstream the entire time. Not a crisis level, not a panic, just a slow accumulation that researchers call allostatic load. The biological cost of sustained low-grade stress with no off switch. The moment the lock clicks, the auditory cortex fires, the adrenal output shifts, and the parasympathetic nervous system starts competing for control. That slow, theatrical lowering of the chest you interpret as devotion is partly the vagus nerve finally gaining enough traction to pull muscle tension downward. The softness in their eyes is not poetry. It's pupil dilation regulated by an autonomic shift your dog has zero conscious control over. And here's the part that really dismantles the fairy tale. Dogs who exaggerate the stretch over time are not choosing to speak your language out of affection. They are running an operant loop. You smiled, your voice pitched up, your own cortisol dropped, and your dog's vomeronasal organ picked up the chemical shift in your skin. Almost before your expression changed, the behavior got reinforced not through understanding, but through neurochemical feedback so precise it would embarrass most laboratory instruments. Your dog did not decide to love you harder. A circuit closed and the motor pattern deepened. None of this means the moment is empty, but the machinery behind it is far older and far less sentimental than the version playing in your head, and understanding that machinery is exactly what leads somewhere most owners never expect. And right about now, somewhere in the back of your mind, a quiet thought is forming. You are wondering how many times your dog dropped into that slow, deliberate stretch at the front door and you just scratched their head and kept walking to the kitchen. You are replaying mornings where they held that posture a beat too long and you stepped right over them to grab your keys. That thought has a weight to it, and I need you to set it down because the guilt you are building right now is based on a misunderstanding. And the misunderstanding is not yours. Nobody handed you a manual that explained the difference between a parasympathetic release and a sore back. Nobody sat you down and said, hey, when your dog's vagus nerve finally downshifts after 8 hours of elevated cortisol, their whole trunk will open toward the first safe stimulus in the room. And that stimulus is you. You were never supposed to already know that. The entire framework you were given for reading your dog came from children's books, cartoon dogs, and well-meaning advice that treated every tail wag like happiness and every stretch like stiffness. You were handed a human dictionary and asked to translate a nervous system that has been running on completely different biological software for 15,000 years. So no, you did not fail them. You were decoding a co-regulation signal with nothing but gut instinct and love. And honestly, the fact that you are still here, still watching, still willing to look closer, tells me your dog already knows something about you that you have not caught up to yet. They kept stretching toward you every single day, not because you understood the signal perfectly, because your presence alone was enough to make their sympathetic nervous system stand down. This does not mean you failed your dog. Most owners were simply never taught to notice the earliest signal before the visible reaction. So here's the one thing I want you to do. Not a training protocol, not a 30-day program, not something you need to buy or schedule or research. Tonight, when you walk through that door and your dog drops into that slow, deliberate stretch in your direction, do not reach down immediately. Watch your pet closely tonight. Which tiny signal looks different now? That you are looking for safety and stress instead of attitude? Leave that detail in the comments.